Hello and welcome to this lecture. I'm going to be talking about key elements to Omani politics. These key elements as follow. Since the 1970 and the accession of Sultan Qaboos on the 23rd of July 1970, lots of changes happened in the country, in the Sultanate of Oman. In 1970 was a turning point of the political system and political life and public institutes in the Sultanate of Oman, where people have witnessed lots of changes in many directions and many dimensions, not only in the Sultanate itself, but even at the international level, where Oman, as a country, joined the United Nations only in 1971. It seems that Oman was somehow isolated before 1970. Then, since 1970 onward, lots of changes. 1971 was the United Nations, Oman becoming a member, where openness in politics at the national level, at the international level. In 1981, Oman has created the State Consultative Council, was one of the main public institutes where the Sultan was depending much on terms of communication with the local community, and this council itself was giving advice and consultation to the Sultan as the head of the state, as we're going to see more in details about this situation. In 1996, we had the basic statute of the state. Basic statute, what this is equal to a constitution. What it is, a constitution, but in many countries call it in different ways. In Oman, basic statute of the Sultanate of Oman was made in 1996 and was a new turning point in the Sultanate, where we have some of the power was vested in the community, on the people of Oman, not only in the Sultan. As we're going to see in a few minutes time, the type of political system in the Sultanate of Oman could not be the same like other countries in the Middle East or in the world. But basic statute was giving much of the power to the, or some of the power to the community. With 2011, this basic statute was amended. So the amendment, the first major amendment was in 2011, and that gave much of the power to the Shura Council, the State Council, and different public institute of Oman, where the Sultan of the state, Sultan Qaboos, gave some of the power to the community, in especially when we talk about elections of the Shura Council, and this body was able to enact law and able to act somehow on behalf of the community. Some of the changes happened in the country concerning the public service infrastructure. The infrastructure of Oman was almost having nothing was established before 1970. When you talk about the schools, the hospitals, there was almost nothing except to one school, one hospital. Paving road, they were not established except to one or two. So lots of changes happen in terms of having schools to be built. So the Sultan, the late Sultan Qaboos, invested much in education, because if you would like to build the country, you have, number one, to educate the people of the country. So many schools were established. Hospitals, many hospitals, medical centers were established since 1970s, especially when we talk about the health care, which was missing lots of structures and medical doctors. So young Omani men and women sent to be educated in the West, especially in the United Kingdom, and come back to work as medical doctors, in addition to expats, medical doctors who were working in the country. Same thing with teachers. Schools were built. Teachers were coming from different countries in the Middle East to help for a while. Then changes came where Omani teachers were able to teach. If you look at literacy, before 1970, Oman has one of the highest illiteracy in the Middle East, and then since the Sultan Qaboos came to power in 1970. He invested much again in education, where we have Oman today, and today we have Oman is one of the highest educated communities, one of the highest educated communities in the Middle East. So that's what is called Renaissance. We might talk about this even later on in the different aspects, but this Renaissance, because of the many changes happened to the community in terms of infrastructure, social welfare, and public service in the community. Not even this. If you look at the situation, the social political, Oman somehow was divided. It was divided before 1970 into Muscat, Oman, and Dhofar, and almost like we have kind of separation and semi-independence in the country. Even Oman was called up to 1970 was called the Sultanate of Muscat and Oman. They used to be called Sultanate of Muscat and Oman, but then later in when the Sultan Qaboos took power in the country in 1970, he changed, it becomes the Sultanate of Oman, the Sultanate of Oman. So the name of the Sultanate of Oman was made clear officially in 1970. 1970, not even this. If you would like to talk about the conflict, the risk, the power, the division in the country before 1970, you will see definitely Oman was divided, especially in the south. We have the conflict between socialists seeking power, and they wanted to overtake the power in the south with the help of regional countries. Unfortunately, regional countries wanted like their own regimes were associated with the socialist system in China and Soviet Union, and they wanted to have kind of influence on the south of Oman. When the Sultan Qaboos came into power in 1970, the war was there, the division, the conflict. Then it took him almost 5 years to end such conflict. So the conflict of the south of Oman began in 1965, ended in 1975 at the head of the Sultan Qaboos, who brought peace, prosperity, and stability to the country. And the first step he made at that time, he wanted to unite the people, unite the society, unite everybody, and contain every opposition in terms of including them into the politics of Oman. So everybody wanted to be included in managing the whole scene of the country, was not excluded. If you see that some of the oppositions at that time who become ministers or become elites in a new political life which was inaugurated since 1970. So the unity of the country, the stability of the country was feasible since 1975 at the hand of the late Sultan Qaboos. That was called reconciliations. End the war, end the conflict, bring everybody to peace. And if you would like to work and build in the country, that was the chance. Many people who left Oman before 1970 came back. They came back to work. They came back to live. They were able to contribute to the economy and the politics of the country. Some of them were educated, some rich people who left the state before 1970 because of the war. They come back after 1970, where the Sultan Qaboos called upon all Omani who living in the Middle East or Europe or different countries in the world have to come back, should come back to build their own country. They come back, they came, and many of them became elites in the community in terms of politics and economy. So this leads us to the meaning of the national identity. National identity. Oman have a timeless national identity. Meaning, what mean timeless? It goes back to centuries, even thousands of years ago, where you find the country itself existed. By the way, Oman is one of the oldest countries in the Gulf and in the Middle East and in the world. It is more than 5,000 years ago. You find the city of Samaharam, which is in the south. It's one of the oldest cities in Oman. You have the excavation which discover cities, old cities existed in the country before many countries existed in the Middle East. So that kind of timeless Omani national identity existed as a coherent national community can only achieved by accommodating differences. What kind of differences? As we're going to see, we don't have really differences in the community in terms of social aspects or belief or ethnicities. No, it's kind of biology, which is the nature of a human being. But I would like to go back at least here just to focus on the dynasty of Al-Busaidi since 17th century, or especially I'm talking about 18th century, the era of 18th century of Al-Busaidi dynasty, where Ahmad al-Busaidi leading the country to peace and tranquility. Since that time, we have witnessed stability and a new state, a new country, which expanded. Oman was expanded to Zanzibar and Baluchistan, not only the mainland Oman, not only the mainland in Oman and the Sultanate of Oman, but expanded to East Africa, Zanzibar, and Baluchistan. So Al-Busaidi dynasty since 18th century brought stability and prosperity to the country. And Oman somehow as a cosmopolitan nation, as a cosmopolitan state, cosmopolitan meaning having mixed people coming, working, exchange, trade, economy, because Oman has one of the best locations in the Middle East, and we having the Indian Ocean. It's overlooking the Indian Ocean. We would have a trade from India coming to the Middle East through Oman, where people were sailing from Oman to India and vice versa. And then this caused being in a multicultural and a multiracial community where merchants coming and living and staying for a short time sometimes to have kind of exchange, bringing goods and commodities from many countries in Asia to the Middle East. And Oman was the main hub in the Middle East. You find old ports such as Suhar and Muscat and even Salalah receiving people from many places in the east, in the far east. So traders, sailors developed social interactions over many centuries in Oman, and this is we find that many languages spoken. The official language of Oman is Arabic, yes, but you find people speak English and other languages from Asian and African origins. Then respect there. We have respect by people for each other. This kind of diversity in cultural language has been built up over centuries, having only now one semantic community. One semantic community where people living side by side, you cannot have differences between them. No. Language, the culture, the same. Even though, look at the faith, we have in the Islamic faith, we have school of thoughts. Some people believe and call it sectors of same faith, but in fact, many, especially Omani scholars, call it school of thought, where people think in a different way, but you have people living and coexisting together and no differences between them in whatsoever in terms of coexistence and the respect of the law and the rules of the country. Even though you find people have a different way to think of, but when it comes to politics, I think it is the same thing. Respect of the legal system, respect of the cultures, respect of the communities in the country. So this, can we call this cultural pluralism? Some scholars, they call this cultural pluralism. Now, some people say, well, you have to be naive to think Oman is a cementing one strong community. And no, it is kind of having multiculture, and does not have harmonious environment. Fact is, I believe, and many other scholars believe, even though we have people coming from different cultures in the world, but they constitute one society with one culture, with different segments who practice their own ways at the family level, at the individual level, but then we have the bot which everybody can be united under one umbrella is the state of Oman, the Sultanate of Oman, which everybody have to respect others. We have, so that's why we call Oman. It's having respect. We have a trust. We have even the hybridity of the identity. Yes, some scholars believe that Oman is having identity, which is unique, hybridity of the identity, which has been shaped over the past centuries. The past centuries, where people came from different directions, like from Asia, from Africa, from the Middle East, from Arabian, from the Gulf region. So we have people are mixed. This is not only the case of Oman, by the way. Many countries in the world having kind of people coming and immigrated from different directions, but living side by side, respecting each other. So Oman is an identity which is unique, hybridity, exchange of cultures. So the fact is, we have difference in biology. This we call it biological differences between people. Could be the color, could be the race, but in fact, Oman is one society, is one community, is one society, in fact, in terms of culture and language and politics and tolerance. It is one culture, it is one society, respecting their own politics and even enhancing the work of the Sultan and the public institutes and the public offices, where ministers can work to achieve the best and the interest of everybody in the same society. This brings me to talk about discriminations. Does not exist in Oman whatsoever. Under one state, respect by law, by culture, by values. People respect each other. Elites of the community respect others. No discrimination, no racial discrimination between segments of the society, because we become one strong society respecting each other. And this is, the evidence is there. The evidence, this country has been living in peace and tranquility for many decades. Peace. And I think Oman becoming, it is the unique country in the Middle East and in the Gulf where become called oasis of peace among the region, which we having conflicts and clashes, and we have wars and we have conflict zones everywhere. The only exception could be, one of the exceptions could be Oman, with having no conflict. This is why Oman becoming a channel of communications between other countries and becoming a leading country in terms of mediation, a leading country in terms of mediations and respect and negotiations in the Middle East. I would like to move to another point here, which is the type of political system in the country. You know that when you study political science, you study one of the topics which is called political systems. Political systems. Then what is the political system of Oman? It's a monarchy. It's a monarchy. The monarchy, it's a type of government we have in the country where the Sultan having the ultimate power, having the rules. And this is not only in the terms of sultanate. When you have kingdom, sultanate, empires, you have what is called here monarchy. So the head of the state, the Sultan or the Emir or the emperor or the king or the queen, they have the ultimate power. They have the ultimate power because this is the monarchy where the power is invested or vested in in one person or in one family, which is called the head of the state. It could be most likely a king or sultan. But then we would like to distinguish between two types of monarchy. Monarchy could be constitutional or absolute monarchy. What is a constitutional monarchy? A constitutional monarchy is limiting the power of the head of the state is limited by the constitution. So the constitution is limiting. This is the situation in United Kingdom. We have the queen, but in fact the queen does not have the ultimate power. No, we have the government and led by the prime minister having the power from the people, and people invested their power in the constitution. That's what we call constitutional monarchy. Constitutional monarchy, where we have the head of the state as the queen or the king cannot have the ultimate power. The people can share most of the power. In fact, they have even most of the power. And the second type of monarchy, it's called absolute monarchy. Absolute monarchy. The absolute monarchy, we have almost everything is vested in the hands of one person. This could be the queen or the king or the sultan or the emir, and this could be even sometimes a family. So do you have any limitation in absolute monarchy? No, in fact, everything is in the hand of the head of the state. That could be the government, the public institutes, even legislative. There could be no legislative council, or the sultan or the head of the state can issue royal decrees. That's what we call absolute monarchy. Now, where is Oman out of this? Before we look at Oman, let's see as well, like even how much power in the hand of the head of the state. We call that sovereignty invested in one person, whether inside the country or outside the country, whether in public office or even at the public institutes, where we have the function of different ministries, such as the Minister of Health, Education, Infrastructure, Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Defense. Everything, almost everything, is in the hand of the head of the state. That's what we call the sovereignty of the state at the local level, at the national level, and the sovereignty of the state at the international level. He or she could be the ultimate person to represent the country as the head of the state. The monarchy usually they achieve, as the head of the state, achieve this kind of status from hereditary. It's inherited within the same family, and most likely that situation could be the elder son of the king or the sultan, the eldest son of the queen. That it depends on the situation. The same thing goes for Oman. The same, it's hereditary. It's a succession within the same family. In Oman has been mentioned in the constitution. This has been mentioned clearly in the constitution. Oman is a monarchy as a state. So the head of the state or the chief of the state, it's hereditary. It's hereditary. And he or she, usually as the head of the state, can survive for the rest of their life, can live as the head of the state for the rest of their life, unless they would like to quit and pass it to somebody else. So the ultimate power here, the ultimate power could be vested in one person for the rest of their life until death or abdication. Then what is the situation in Oman? It's monarchy. The political system in the Sultanate of Oman is monarchy. But somebody can ask me what type of monarchy it is. If you see that it's not a constitutional, even though we have constitution in Oman and we have some transitions, but is it an absolute monarchy? Is everything is in the hand of the sultan? So many scholars believe this is an absolute monarchy where everything is vested in the hand of the sultan. Is it something bad or good? Now, if you look at the stability of the country, this is what we need. People have a stability, a good economy, security, transparency. People love the Sultan. People love this political system because they find it much better than other political systems in the world. And the oasis of peace. That's what people need. Meaning that look up for the result, for the outcome. What everybody wants is to have an outcome of peace and tranquility, good economy. People live side by side together, respecting each other, respecting the law of the rules of the law. That is the situation. So an absolute monarchy, is it the situation of Oman? Some scholars say yes, but the fact is, I believe myself, we have a transitional monarchy. We are moving from an absolute to constitutional. As we have a constitution, we do have a constitution. We do have a constitution, and it is respected by everybody in the Sultanate. This constitution, we'll call it the statute of the country, which was established in 1996 and was amended in 2011. This constitution stated clearly that we have respect and law of the rules, and we have Sultanate of Oman as a country with the language, with the capital, with the boundaries, with the people, with the Sultan. So, and we have at the same time, much of the power has been vested in many public institutes. Yes, we have elections. What kind of elections we have? We have two types of election in Oman. One is for the municipality, the local council, baladiyat. And the second type of election in Oman, we have the Shura Council. The Shura Council of Oman, this is a council has been functioning for many years now. And this represent the people of Oman. Every 4 years we have elections. We can elect. Now we have the number, which is 85 candidates elected from different wilayas in the Sultanate of Oman. We will look at this more in details in other lectures. So this kind of power transition, where people can vote, people can select and elect their own representative in the country, what does it mean? That the Sultan gave many of the power to the people. They can elect, they can vote. Not even this. We have public institutes where we have offices of public people. We have the Vision of 2040. And before this, we have the Vision of 2020, where many of the power was given to the people to be able to invest in terms of economy and in terms of social aspects. In addition, there's something important. Oman is a tribal as a country, not only Oman. Most countries in the Middle East, most of them have a tribal system, meaning we have respect for the local community. We do have respect for the family system, and this will fortify the political system. So the Sultanate in itself depends as well on the support of different tribes and different families in the Sultanate to help the stability. The stability has been there for a long time, and the Sultan, late Sultan Qaboos, when he came to power in 1970s, he was seeking the help, support of the local community, different tribes supporting the country. Whenever we have any kind of destabilization in any country in the Middle East and even in Oman, you can think about the local community, because a local community is fortified, it is stable, and this can support the Sultan when it's needed. So the social fabric of the community, of the social community in Oman, of the people of Oman, it giving much help to Sultan Haytham today, who is leading the country for the past 8-9 months since January 2020. He's being supported by the local community, as this is really important. He can lead the country with the support of the people, and this has been a clear fact. For the past 9 months, we have seen the people in support of the Sultan to be able to serve the community in economy, in politics, in security. This is why we've seen Oman as an oasis of peace, as one unique country in the Middle East. I would like to thank you for this lecture, listening to me, and we come back to talk about other issues in Omani politics later on. Bye for now.